All right. All right, Elements family, good afternoon. This is Coach Justin with you, coming to you for your basics class today. So we're going to continue on with our guard work. And I think I posted the cross collar chokes. I'm actually going to do Kimura from the guard instead. That was just a nice type on my part. But it's just going to be more potential guard sweeps and guard options for you guys. And here we go. So just get the angle on that right. Make sure this is angled correctly. Should be good, right? Okay, pretty good. All right. So the first move I want to show you today is actually called the waiter sweep. And it requires a standing opponent, so it's going to be more of a visualization technique than it is going to be a very good one. So I'll try to use this pole as an example. And the waiter sweep, maybe even use Bob or so I can pull the crank this in between here. So the waiter sweep, what it does is it uses your standing opponent's feet to help with the sweep. Okay, and so let me show you how it works. And I use Bob as the dummy, as I do. And so he's going to sweep me in this scenario, like you would if I had a real opponent. So I'm in here, I'm in guard, and I want to break guard. Okay. So I'm the guy on top. I want to break guard. Bob wants to sweep me. So Bob is going to succeed in sweeping me, and he's going to use what's called the waiter sweep. All right. So what's going to happen with this sweep is I'm going to use pressure to come up. So I'm going to go here, just like that, and I'm going to, his legs are going to be here, and then I'm going to post this foot up, just like I would if I wanted to pass standing. But in this scenario, I haven't controlled the sleeve. When we get to guard passing, one of the main things that you want to do is control the sleeve. But this works in both gi and no gi because it doesn't require you to hold on to anything. So once I'm here like this, or on the other side is fine. It really just depends on which side you're going to come up on. But once I'm here, the other foot's going to go back. So it's going to stagger back like this, right? So just show, sorry, move his legs the other way and move my leg. So see how I'm like this, but I'm in here. All right, remember yesterday we talked about the star sweep and how that worked when I was here, right? I also talked about how if I'm here and he grabs my foot, he might be able to readjust to grab the other foot. This is an instance where instead of working with or trying to get the star sweep, I'm going to get the waiter sweep. So what Bob's going to do is he's going to reach with his same side arm and hook underneath my ankle. So it's going to be like this kind of hook underneath my ankle. Then he's going to kick off me and roll himself up and over, and he's going to end up right here next to my leg, like that. And I can show you what that roll looks like, I think, without somebody. It's just it's a lot easier if you have somebody to kick off of. And then all he's going to do from here, he's going to have his arm over my ankle, and all he's going to do is just stand up and pull my ankle, just like he's pulling my foot out from underneath me. So if I'm here and he starts to, and just your opponent pulls on your leg, it's just going to go like this, and you're going to fall backwards. Okay. So this is a move that comes off of a standing position. Your opponent has your opponent has stood up and has only given you one leg, and so you're going to reach up underneath, and then you're going to roll over, and you're going to use that connection you have to pull them out. Okay. Let's see if I can do this with the pole, because it's definitely not going to happen with Bob. Okay, let me see if I can do it without the pole first to give you an idea of what it looks like. Okay, so yeah, that's gonna be rough. So I'm here, right? My opponent stacked or stood me up. So right now my hips. This also helps too because your hips are pretty high off the ground when somebody's in your guard and they're standing up with you, right? So and you're using your hook here to come underneath their leg. So for example, if this pull was your opponent standing up on the outside, you're gonna hook like this. No, sorry. Yeah, no, you're gonna hook underneath their leg like this. So you're just gonna grab underneath their leg like you're hooking underneath their leg. So from the side, it looks like this. So you're gonna hook underneath their leg, and then what's gonna happen is you're gonna roll over their leg, and you're gonna push off of them to make this rollover happen. So you're gonna push off of them, and you're gonna roll over. And again, I really wish anybody who wants to volunteer to come over and be my partner. Really appreciate it. I'm gonna roll up and over. So you're actually, what I do is I'm actually gonna base over on the side like this. So I'm actually, when I'm up in the air and I'm going for this move, I'm gonna come over and I'm actually gonna go like this, and then these legs are already gonna be up, and they're gonna come over this leg like this. See, and if my arm's in the right spot, I'm gonna end up here. Okay, like this. Their leg is here, my hand's here, and then all I'm gonna do is just pull, just like that. Okay, it's called a waiter sweep. And once I've pulled, then I can come back and fold on top of them for the side control. Now, the first time I did this 13 weeks ago, 14 weeks ago, I did have a partner. I did not record it though. We practiced it a few times and it worked out pretty good. So I know that I can do this. So most people should be able to, but it does. But because of what it requires, it does require a little quickness and a little deft maneuvering. Because if you start to kick that leg over and your opponent is sort of wise to it, they can push you back. They can push you back over, and you've lost it. So for those of you who are, like I said, this is a beginner's class. So for those of you who are like a little more flexible and will have a little more movement ability in your wheelhouse, this is definitely one movement for you. And if you're doing my elements part of your curriculum, this is actually going to be an air move, which is part of the reason why I have trouble with it, because I'm not a air elemental style. I don't like to create space. I like to take space away. So that's what the air elemental style, air style jiu-jitsu in my elements is. And so if you have a partner to work this with, it's going to be real obvious kind of how you deal with it. So again, to explain the motion, and I'm not going to spend too much time on it since I can't really show you as well as I want to without a partner. Again, partner, anybody? So you're going to be in full guard. You're going to stand up. When you stand up, they're going to keep their guard wrapped. All right. You're going to put one foot. So you're going to be here. Make that pressure to get up. Step one foot up. Then keep this foot back like this. They're going to reach under your leg to hook. Then they're going to kick off of you, swing themselves from here to the other side. So now they're belly up. When they swing over, they'll be belly down. Then they should be able to stand up. Basically, just pull your leg as they stand up. So they're down here on your ankle like this, and they just pull it back. Okay, that is the waiter sweep. And if you think, wow, that sounds like a really easy sweep, there are a lot of tutorials on YouTube with partners. So I would just recommend that you take a chance to look at those with a partner, and you can see how it works for both gi and no gi. And it's a really good sweep for both gi and no gi. Again, because it doesn't necessarily require any the gi in order to work, because it does go off of that underhook, and it puts you in a good position when you're done. So so check it out. Again, I don't have any. If you go into my YouTube channel, I'll probably try and link something there, and hopefully sometime in the future I'll have a partner, so we can show these. So all right. So the second one I want to go through is the hip bump sweep. Now, the hip bump sweep is a staple of jiu-jitsu, whether it be gi or no gi. And so I'm going to show you the no gi variation first, and then I'm going to show you the gi variation that I think is more powerful because of the pressure and the handle that you get. So let me start with the no gi variation of the hip bump sweep. So just as we did before, you are going to be in guard with your opponent. All right. And you are going to, they're going to be pushing up on you right here on your stomach. Okay. So you need to clear that. And there are a couple ways you can clear that. An easy way to clear that is to, you're going to drive your hips up and you're going to come underneath the hands. So if they're not real, even if they're real tight in here, when you go to lift your hips up, it moves the table that is your stomach. So if I'm here like this, my stomach's very flat, it's sort of a table because it's flat, and my opponent can push off of it real easily, right? But if I go from here and I extend myself, not trying to push down on him, if I extend myself up, this is what you would look like. Now my table is more of a ramp. So if he's pushing on it, he's not pushing directly into flat. He's pushing at an angle, so his hands conceivably will go like this. Okay. So, and you would do that with your feet locked, but when I try to do it with my feet locked, all it does is push my dummy down. So try to do it with your feet locked on your partner if you have one, and extend your hips up like this. Okay, that's going to be the first part of the hip bump sweep. Then the second part is you're going to clear the hands. And then when the hands are clear, then you're going to open up as you come down, and you're going to sit up to one side or the other. I always usually sit up to that direction. That's the way I was taught, and so that's the way my mind always goes. Plus, it doesn't really matter too much, but that's also the side that more people will be defending on, so that's fine. Okay, so again, I'm going to bridge up, clear these hands, and then when I come back, I'm going to sit up to this position right here. This is just halfway. We can't just finish here. What we have to do now is use our feet to bridge through our arms. And see how this hand's over here? This hand goes over the arm like this, grabbing the back of the arm. And then I'm going to post on my opposite leg. So this is my left arm, this is my right leg. So I'm going to go over like this, and I'm going to bridge. And that's your hip bump sweep. Okay? So one more time, and I'll try to do it kind of full speed here, if I can get the legs in the right position. Like that. Okay? Now, that's the no-gi version of the hip bump sweep, and it works really well to set up for things. The problem is that to defend against it, there are two things your opponent does. One is they drive themselves into you, and two, they wrap their arms around your body. Okay, so again, if I was here like this, my opponent starts driving into me, I will have trouble getting my hips off the ground. Okay, so I'll get to that in a minute, because there's a couple things we can do from here. All right, but with the gi on, we have some answers. All right, our first answer is the collar. Right, if I've got the collar, like this, and I'm here, and maybe even I have this sleeve here, and I go for a hip bump sweep, I don't even need to necessarily come up so high because I can push with this collar, all right? Before I had nothing to push with. Now I do. So I can get here like this, and see I'm not even guarded up or anything. I'm just here, okay? And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull this leg out to the base and get up to my elbow. And now that I'm on my elbow, I'm still gonna bridge, but I'm also gonna push. See? So still hip bump, but in this case, I use the gi. All right, I use that grip, that lapel grip that I have on the gi to push. And what's great too is from here, I can put that across his face like this, and then finish with the lapel choke. It's like a boom, inside, you know, just like that. Or I can do this one because I'm in the position I want to be. Okay. So one more time, the hip bump sweep. Okay. So with the gi on, without the gi on, still without the gi on again. So I'm here. My opponent starts to push away from me. Okay. Once he pushes away from me and creates his space, I'm going to bridge off of him. See, when I try to bridge, I push my dummy down. So I don't want to do that. I want to show you the way, bridge. All right. The hands come under. And then I'm going to shoot up to one side, over my arm, like so. Then I'm going to keep this arm over that arm. Then I'm going to use this leg, this outside leg here, to drive my hips forward, turning them over and mounting my opponent. Now, if you want to try this by yourself without a dummy as a practice move, you can do this by yourself. You get here, okay? You're here. So what you're going to do is you're going to bridge, and then you're going to throw yourself up, drive, and come over to your knees. It's actually pretty easy to do if you're even when you're by yourself. Obviously, it's a different case when your opponent's pushing against you, but you can see that it's really not that difficult of a movement. It's actually a movement that even for me, a big guy, I can do pretty well. Okay, so I'll show you one more time. You can practice by yourself. So I'm here, bridge up, sit up, turn over, come to your knees. That would look a little sloppy because I need to get up my hand a little bit more. That's important to the no-gi version of this. So again, bridge, come up. So you're gonna sit up to here. Then once I'm here, bridge, and then I'm gonna turn over and come to my knees. Okay, so that's a solo drill you can do without a partner. There's lots of solo drills that you can do that are good for lots of jiu-jitsu movement. And if you need some, again, there are lots of resources that show quick ones. But I try to, if I can find one when I'm teaching stuff like this, I try to throw it in. So there you are. Okay, now again, for the gi variation. All right, so the gi variation of the hip bump sweep only works, or both variations I should say, but the gi variation, so you can only work it if the knee is on the outside of the body. All right, if you're the kind of people that turn your knees in to do like a variation of a scissor or some sort of Z guard or something like that, you've lost all your power in your hips. You've created a real strong structure with your body, but you've lost all the power in your hips. So if you're a earth style jiu-jitsu player like I am, which requires you to stay in contact with your opponent and take space away and pressure your opponent to move in a direction they maybe don't want to move, then the hip bump sweep is for you. Now, well, let's show it one more time. So again, my opponent's sitting up. I pull on his lapel, and I get my hand in up to his wrist, or up to his neck, and I'm here up to my wrist. He goes to defend. I grab his sleeve, and I pull. Okay, now he can't create. He cannot create a frame. Now he might be expecting scissor sweep, right? But I'm not going to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to post on this hip and sit up, right? So I'm using this leg out here to kind of block, and this one right here, the knee's kind of in to block as well, and I'm pushing. I'm not pulling in this scenario. This is different than the scissor sweep. In fact, this is a good, potentially even good setup from the scissor sweep. So let's say that we go for the scissor sweep. So we've turned and we're inside like this, right? Your opponent's usually trying to sit up here. Bob can't really do that. That's okay. So we're trying to turn and sit up here, and he decides he doesn't want to do that. So I'm going to come up to my elbow here, and instead of trying to pull Bob down, now I'm going to put my foot back here, and then drive my hips forward to turn him over. It requires you to change gears a little bit to go from pulling to pushing, but you can easily switch between the two, which is why they're interlocked in that respect, right? But if you can't get your knee inside the body, like I said, sometimes people are really good about blocking that leg from coming inside. Then you can switch this to a hip bump sweep, and it'll be just as effective in that respect. But it's all about feeling the push and the pull, okay? Because the push and the pull. And the great thing is too is that no matter if I'm scissor sweeping, I want to push across, and if I'm hip bump sweeping, I want to pull and push. So I'm doing this motion here, right? So the hip bump or the scissor sweep is what we went over on Monday. So remember, the scissor sweep is I'm here like this. I turn to get inside and then I'm going to try to get him closer to me. So I'm going to sit up, I'm going to fall back, and I'm going to kick and spin. See, I'm going to push his arm this way and pull him this way to get him to turn over across my leg, right? Hip bump sweep, on the other hand, if I were here, I'm not trying to go this way with it. If I was here, and he decided he was going to make it real difficult for me and sit back from here, I can pull this out to make that post again. And this time I'm going to push him, and I'm going to pull this hand toward me instead of pushing it across. So I've gone from a push-pull one direction to a push-pull the other direction, and I'm going to bridge up. He's going to pull me over as he falls over, and I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to, cross collar choke from the top or whatever. Okay. So that's your hip bump sweep, and do you want to keep practicing that a little bit? If you're watching this and want to keep practicing that a little bit while I'm talking about the submission parts, that is fine too. So because there are two potential submissions I want to go over. One of them I definitely want to go over because the Kimura is a fairly common submission from the hip bump sweep because of the way your setup is. So let me check on the time real quick, see how much time I got left. Mine's not? Oh, perfect. I got plenty. Okay. So the hip bump sweep, you'll notice when I do the hip bump sweep in no gi, okay, my arm goes way over here like this. And I don't have anything with this hand going on over here. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to use that to my advantage, and I'm going to go for a submission. Good. Let me scoot down to that. This. Okay. So it's a little harder to do when you have the lapel because you're pushing. So there's a lot of distance between my armpit and your shoulder. But with the push, you have a much higher percentage chance of finishing this because pushing back into you is real hard because they can't get close to you. They can't wrap their body around you or anything like that. So both of these submissions will come off of a no-gi, the no-gi variation. Okay. So here's number one. So we go through all the motions. We're here. We bridged up. We cleared the head, and then we shot up and over for this. All right. The Kimura is literally right here. Right. If your opponent leaves their arm down here like this, all it requires of me is to grab the wrist of the arm. So that's going to be like here, and then hook over the shoulder and fall backwards again. I do got to rotate as well. So what's going to happen is I'm going to grab this wrist, shoot over this arm, which I should already be doing, and then I'm going to twist myself so my head sort of ends up over here instead of flat on my back. All right, so I go boom, and it's like this. Okay, and this is hard because his arm's made of wires, but there we go. So now I've got the Kimura like this, and so for here, so you'll notice I'm pinching, I'm keeping this foot on the mat, keeping it tight, then I'm clamping this one down. All right, mainly because one of the ways to escape the Kimura if I'm loose here is to flip over, which isn't the worst, but if you want to finish quickly instead of having to keep fighting for it, this is what you're going to do, okay? So you're going to go here like this and there like that, and then you're going to push down toward the body and start to rotate out. And that's going to put all the pressure right here into the shoulder unit, and it could, just like any other move here, you can do some serious damage if you're not careful. So depending on what kind of person you are, like if you're the kind of person who you're basically saying, I know what I'm doing. If I fight this person, I might, and this is in a self-defense situation, mind you, I might really do some damage here. So you're going to be nice, and you're going to get that person in that Kimura, and you're going to stay right here, and that's assuming that he doesn't have buddies, right? If you're in a situation where you might get ganged up on, and you end up here, you just need to do it. Like, it's a sad truth. But sometimes, when you're facing multiple attackers, but it also depends on your abilities. So I mean, if you're, you get to a really high level, and you can hold an opponent here without causing too much damage. There's lots of videos out there of, and most of the time people end up in rear choke positions. So if you look online for fighters who didn't finish their opponents, even though they could have, is usually somebody getting somebody else in a rear choke position. There was one where a black belt was accosted outside his Jiu-Jitsu gym. They put him in a rear naked choke and then hung out there till the cops got there. Another one where a guy tried to kidnap a kid, that was recent, got him in a rear naked choke and held him there. A couple of guys I know from the past, they were in California for No-Gi Worlds a while back, and they both were in a hotel lobby getting robbed. The lobby was getting robbed, and instead of running away, they approached the attacker, and they got the gun away from him. And the one guy put him in a choke. Did not finish the choke. He just had him in the choke, while his other friend made sure that he didn't try to hit his other friend. So like those situations, you know how to control a situation, and that comes from practicing jiu-jitsu. There's some amazing things that are just not aggressive about jiu-jitsu. That there are lots of things that are aggressive about jiu-jitsu. Don't get me wrong. There are lots of things that aren't aggressive about jiu-jitsu, and that's part of why I love it. Is that it gives me the ability to have a technique to hold somebody down. This is one such technique, because if I have somebody like this, and every time they try to move, you just push it a little bit, it's going to hurt, and they're not going to want to move. They might think, oh, I can punch you from here. Yeah, go ahead and try. Like, seriously, go ahead and try. And the minute you try to punch somebody, they just push it a little bit, and you're going to go down. Because I have a lot of control of this shoulder right here with this move. Okay. So one more time, since I kind of went off on a tangent there. So I'm here like this. My opponent's up. I'm going to push up underneath. I'm gonna bridge up off of my opponent, push up underneath the hands, and then once I'm here, I'm gonna shoot for this side. He's gonna push back on me, so I'm gonna turn and get him here like this, and I should be able to finish. Okay. Now, what can happen when you go for this Kimura is a lot of times guys will stick their hands inside their pants. So his pants are right here. So he put his hand in his pants like that. And once his hand's inside his pants, it's really hard to get out. That's actually a defense for this. So so the Gracies are actually able to figure out that if you actually kind of they say, how do I say, like cock the hand. So you push the hand in, and then when you push the hand in, it comes out off of the pants because you're holding the pants like this. And you push the hand in, the hand's gonna come. The pant sleeve's here. So if I pull on the hand like this, the pants are coming this way, right? I'm holding on. They're coming around this way. But if I push on the pants, my hand's gonna go this way, and the pants are gonna come out. So it's kind of like if I have this here, right, like this, and they got their hand inside, what I'm going to do is I'm going to push in, and quickly pull out like that. And that should allow for the pull out. Most people, when they get there and they're holding, it's kind of a stalemate, right? And so that particular unhingement of the hand takes a little bit of finesse and takes a little bit to get used to. But it's basically, like I said, you're kind of pushing in and then pulling out. So you're pushing in to get them to let go, and then you're pulling out with more force than they can grab on the way, or more speed than they can grab on the way back. And once you're in this position, even if and your hands inside your pants, it's a very difficult position to get out of. Okay, because the angle's there, everything's sort of nice and tight. It's very, very difficult. I don't even know that there is a way to like to get out once you're in without finishing. So it's like, because here and here I'm clamped down, and I've got your shoulder and I've got your arm up. It's gonna be real hard to get any side to help you. Like getting this hand in, getting this bottom arm in here inside to come in and help you. I don't think it's even going to be possible to do that, right? So the way to deal with the hip bump sweep, assuming your opponent knows what he's doing, is to wrap around your opponent when they go for the hip bump sweep as you're driving in, okay? And what that does is that makes it so that the hand is not available to grab. So remember, part of the reason why I can grab the hand is because when I'm up here like this, the hand is real close to my hand already. Okay, the hand is real close to my hand already. So if my opponent reaches around and grabs and hugs me, where'd their hand go? Went around my side. And it's real tight up against my body. So how do I deal with that? Right? That's going to be your way to deal with that. Now, you have two options there, okay, as the person trying to sweep. So as the person defending, that's going to be the best defense, is the hug. All right, but as the person sweeping and they're driving into you, what are you going to do? Okay, the only real secondary attack to this is a guillotine choke. So what I'm going to do is on my hand, right, I'm going to use the same foot that I was going to drive with, but they're pushing into me, so I can't drive with it. And I'm going to push my hips back. Okay? And once my hips are pushed back, see where their head is? I come underneath like this, and I grab my hands together, and I'm going to try to finish what's called the guillotine choke. Some people call it the guillotine choke. It doesn't really matter. Just know that it does come from the French word guillotine. And then this hand is going to come in to help finish. Ideally, they go inside, but you can finish with both hands inside like this. Okay. Actually, let me show you from that side so you can see a little better. So with this hand here, the best way that I think to finish a guillotine choke is with the arm out. So if their arm's away, you can get in here like this. This is going to be one of the better ways to finish. Okay. A lot of people, when they do this, their hands in here, and I got to go hand inside the arm. So here's the arm. My hand's going to go inside the arm like this. So now I've got this over here and this over here. And to finish the arm in guillotine, that's a trick. That's and I don't like. I'm not a big fan of the guillotine for a couple of reasons. First of all, my shoulders do not do what I need them to do in order to do a guillotine. Okay. For you guys watching who don't quite understand that, let me explain it to you like this. So in order to do a guillotine correctly, this arm has to come over the back of the head and stay there like this. Okay. The shoulder rolls forward. Now I can do that just fine. I can do that just fine sitting up. But the minute I start to go backward, my shoulders start to roll, and guess where my arm goes? Down the back of the head. I talked about this, I think, last week maybe. So to finish the guillotine, you need this elbow high, and you need that shoulder rolled forward. As I start to come backwards, see what happens? And part of that is shoulder flexibility while laying on their back. Okay. Standing up, I can roll my shoulders forward and get that arm up there like this, right? But when I start to lean back, my back starts to straighten out. My back muscles pull my shoulders back like that. So it doesn't quite work for me. Okay, so that's why I'm not particularly a fan of the guillotine. But the guillotine is one of those moves where when you learn how to do it, it's like you see it everywhere and you're just hitting it left and right. And so, like I said, there's two different ways that you can finish the guillotine. Now the way I like to finish the guillotine is, like I said, hand inside. So I'm going to just come in with a straight, like kind of a handshake kind of thing like this. And I'm going to come inside and I'm going to grab my hands like this. And then I'm going to twist up like this. Okay. And what's happening is I'm turning their head toward my arm, and then I'm squeezing their neck in my hands. So it's like that. Okay. Now the good people with the guillotine choke, like I said, they can go the other way because their shoulder stays over the top of their head. So when they start to pull this way, their shoulder pushes down on their head, and it's like what it sounds like. It's a guillotine, right? So the back of the arm comes across the back of the head like that, and then the hands come up underneath and basically guillotine the back of the head, right? But most people do it while they lay down, and it's on the same side, right? So if I go for this guillotine, just to give you a little bit more here, if I go for this guillotine, I want to keep the same side, and here's the picture here. I'll try to keep the same side, and see, this is already what I'm talking about. See how my shoulder doesn't quite roll correctly? A good guillotine player is going to be able to have a shoulder that rolls up and over the arm. So when I here, it's fine. But as I start to come to my back, see how my arm's already kind of falling like that? So if you can keep your hands in there, and then you want to get this over their back, because one way to get out of the guillotine is to roll up and over. So if you keep that shoulder there, then what you're going to do is you're going to grab your hands and you're going to twist and then pull like that. Now at the hand inside, there are a couple other little fun things to do with that. And again, I'm not an expert on the guillotine because it's not my cup of tea. But I will show you the tripod defense to this move before I go today. Okay. So the guillotine only works if you're center or to the same side as the choke. All right. So if my opponent has this arm over my head, I either have to be kind of on center or to the left. My body gets to the right or to this side of my opponent, I'm good to go. In fact, there's another choke you can do for someone who's trying to guillotine you and holds on too long. So if I go for this, somebody goes for this guillotine and I was able to pass to that side, there's actually a choke called the Von Flue choke. If you want to know what it is, go ahead and look it up. That I can do in response if they hang on too long. All right. But what I'm going to show you right now is just a simple response to guillotine choke.
All right, so my head's here like this, and he's got the choke in. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to reach over and grab his head, and then I'm going to tripod up. Now, most likely, when I tripod up, he's going to keep his legs wrapped around me, and that's okay. I'm going to put my weight on my elbow on the outside there, and I'm going to start to push these legs down. So if I could wrap them around me, I would show you that. But just, use your imagination a little bit here. So this head's here like this. I'm going to go here, and then I'm going to push up with this hand, get myself to here. So I'm tripoding on my head and on my feet. Now once I'm here, I can start to push these legs down and start to get over on this side, and then push and push and push until I can get my legs down. And like I said, this will work better. A lot of this, would be good if I had a partner. A lot of this. So if anybody wants to come over and be my partner, let me know. But that's how you defend the guillotine choke. Okay, so put all that in your memory banks for you to use at a later date. This will be on Facebook and YouTube for a while, so make sure to take a look at it. Send me a DM if you have any questions. And again, if any of you know anybody who wants to come partner with me that is clean, you know what I'm saying, let me know. Justin Turcotte, you are, and I'm friends with George Burns, and that's it. So tomorrow we're going to finish up with some more fun attacks for the bottom guy, some things to set up, extra movements, and then we'll finish up with more unorthodox collar chokes. Okay, have a good one, guys.